I knew today would change everything the moment the manager pointed toward the VIP section. 6 months pregnant, my oversized hoodie was barely doing its job anymore. Hiding the rounded swell of my belly was becoming impossible. But what choice did I have? Refusing meant being on the streets by morning, and winter was already biting hard. The tray felt heavier than usual as I made my way down the dark corridor where bass-heavy music pounded through the walls. Room 512. I knocked once, a formality no one here cared about, and pushed inside without waiting for an answer. In places like this, Omega waiters were invisible until needed. The scene inside was typical of these high-roller rooms. Thick cigar smoke hung in the air. Expensive liquor bottles crowded the table, and 4 alphas sat sprawled across velvet couches. Their suits probably cost more than I'd make in a year. Their watches even more. Everything about them screamed wealth and power. But my attention snagged on one alpha in particular. He stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, separate from the group. Tall, with a sharp jawline that could cut glass, he possessed an aura that dominated the entire room without him saying a word. Unlike his companions, he wasn't drinking. He was observing, dark brown eyes scanning everything with the focus of a predator guarding territory. "Hey, sweetheart. Over here." The drunk alpha's voice yanked me back to reality. He was gesturing impatiently, already 3 drinks past coherent. I approached their table carefully, arranging bottles on the tray with shaking hands. Pregnancy hormones had made me weaker, more vulnerable. Every movement required conscious effort. "You're new, aren't you?" The drunk alpha leaned forward with a smirk that made my skin crawl. "So cute, so soft-looking." His hand reached toward my wrist. I stepped back instinctively. "Sir, please, come on. Just talk to us." "Remove your hand." That voice cut through the room like a blade. Deep, cold, absolute authority radiating from every syllable. Everyone froze. The alpha from the window had moved. I hadn't even heard him approach. His presence dropped the room's temperature by several degrees, his imposing frame now standing between me and the drunk alpha. The drunk man withdrew his hand immediately, offering a nervous laugh. "Relax, Callum. Just messing around." Callum. Why did that name sound familiar? "Leave," Callum said to me, his tone commanding but somehow protective. I quickly gathered my tray and headed for the exit, relief flooding through me. But just as I reached the door, disaster struck. My foot caught on a loose edge of the carpet. Balance gone, I pitched forward. I fell hard. The tray crashed spectacularly, glass shattering, bottles breaking, liquid spreading across expensive carpet. But none of that mattered. My only instinct was protecting my belly, curling around it as pain shot through my body and a cry escaped my throat. Shit. Heavy footsteps rushed toward me. Fast. Urgent. Don't move. Within seconds, Callum was beside me. His hands found my arms, carefully assessing before helping me up. But the moment he supported my weight, his entire body went rigid. His gaze dropped to my midsection. The fall had shifted my hoodie upward, revealing what I'd been desperately trying to hide. He saw. Callum's expression cycled through shock, confusion, and something darker I couldn't identify. "You're pregnant?" His voice was low, dangerously calm. I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. This was it. The manager would fire me when he found out. I'd be homeless, alone, vulnerable. But Callum didn't call for the manager. Instead, he lifted me, actually lifted me bridal style, and walked straight out of the room without another word to anyone. I struggled weakly. "Sir, please let me go. Be quiet." The finality in his tone silenced me immediately. He carried me through the building, drawing shocked stares from staff and patrons alike, until we reached the basement parking garage. A sleek black Audi waited there. He placed me carefully in the passenger seat before sliding behind the wheel. The engine roared to life. What's happening?" Panic crept into my voice. Callum didn't look at me. His jaw was tight, eyes fixed on the road ahead as he navigated out of the parking structure. "Your name?" "J. Jasper." He drew a sharp breath, as if my name meant something significant. "How far along are you?" asked. 6 months. His grip on the steering wheel tightened until his knuckles turned white. His breathing pattern changed, like he was calculating something crucial in his mind. Then he grabbed his phone and made a call. "Dr. Reed." "Yes, it's me. Emergency. I need you now." What was happening? I was in a stranger's car, being taken God knows where, and somehow I wasn't terrified. His presence, despite everything, made me feel safe. The car stopped at an exclusive apartment building, its underground parking screaming wealth. Callum took my hand, firm but gentle, and led me to a private elevator. He pressed the penthouse button. Silence filled the elevator, heavy and uncomfortable. I finally gathered courage to ask, "Why are you helping me?" Callum looked at me then. His dark brown eyes held conflict, guilt, and something else I couldn't read. Because the elevator doors opened, revealing a stunning modern penthouse with city lights twinkling beyond massive windows. He paused, then finished his sentence. "Because that baby might be mine." My world shattered. What are you saying?" Callum pulled me inside and closed the door. He removed his coat, rolled up his sleeves, and sat on the couch facing me with an intensity that made breathing difficult. 6 months ago, Grand Celestial Hotel, room 11508. Corporate gala night. My breath stopped completely. That night when I'd accidentally wandered to the wrong floor in my cleaning uniform, when I'd entered the wrong room, when I'd encountered an alpha who— I whispered. "You were there?" Callum closed his eyes, his face a canvas of guilt, regret, and anger, all directed inward. "Yes, I was there, and I've been searching for you for 6 months. I collapsed onto the sofa, overwhelmed. Everything was happening too fast for my mind to process. My head spun with implications I wasn't ready to face. Callum Thorne, as he'd finally introduced himself, stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights creating a silhouette around him. He remained silent for a long moment, seemingly searching for the right words. "Why did you search for me?" I asked, my voice barely steady. Callum kept his back turned, shoulders tense. "Because that night was wrong. I was drugged, a business rival's doing. When I regained consciousness, you were already gone. Only your scent remained. Pine and something sweet. I could never forget it." He finally turned to face me, genuine pain evident in his eyes. I knew something significant had happened. Something important, but there was no trace of you. Hotel records showed nothing. Security footage had gaps. It was like you didn't exist at all. "Because I don't," I said bitterly. "Not officially. I'm an undocumented Omega. No identification, no registered address, nothing. The system doesn't even know I'm alive." Callum's face hardened, his jaw clenching. "That changes now." He pulled out his phone and dialed quickly. "Dr. Reed." "Yes. Come to the penthouse." Immediately, I tried to protest. "This isn't necessary." "It is," Callum stated firmly. "You and the baby need proper medical attention." His tone left no room for argument. I fell silent. 15 minutes later, Dr. Reed arrived, a professional beta in his mid-30s with a calm, reassuring demeanor. His medical bag looked well used and expertly maintained. "Callum," he greeted before turning to me with a gentle smile. "And you must be Jasper." He conducted a thorough examination. Blood pressure, heartbeat, basic vitals. Then he produced a portable ultrasound machine. "This gel will feel cold," Dr. Reed warned as he applied it to my exposed belly. When the screen flickered to life, showing a tiny moving figure, my throat constricted. Tears welled up automatically. I'd never actually seen the baby before. "Healthy," Dr. Reed confirmed with a smile. "Strong heartbeat. However, Jasper, I'm seeing clear signs of malnutrition. You need proper nutrition and rest. Starting immediately." Callum stood nearby, watching the screen with intense focus. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes remained fixed on the baby's image like he was mesmerized. Dr. Reed wrote prescriptions, vitamins, supplements, a detailed diet plan, then pulled Callum aside before leaving. I could hear their muffled conversation. "Requires serious care, must avoid stress. Full bed rest recommended." After Dr. Reed departed, awkward silence settled over the penthouse. Callum finally spoke, turning to face me. "You can stay here. There's a fully furnished guest room. You'll be safe." "I can't just freeload." "This isn't freeloading," Callum interrupted, stepping closer. "If that baby is mine and a DNA test will confirm it, then this is my responsibility. Yours. The baby." I was shocked. People didn't just trust like this. Especially not wealthy, powerful people. "You believe me? Without proof?" Callum approached until he was very close. I could smell his scent, cedarwood mixed with something distinctly alpha. "Your scent. It's exactly what I remembered from that night." Alphas never forget scents, especially when a bond begins forming. His proximity made my heart race. I wanted to step back but couldn't move. There's one condition, Callum continued, maintaining eye contact. What? This arrangement will be professional. Legal. A contract. You'll be safe. The baby will be safe. I'll provide financial support, medical care, everything the baby needs. But, he paused uncomfortably. But what? I whispered, already dreading the answer. But this isn't a relationship. It's a responsibility. I'll protect you and provide for you. However, don't develop personal expectations. Each word stabbed into my chest. But what had I expected? Love? A fairy tale? I was nobody. I nodded, fighting back tears. I understand. Callum released a relieved breath, though something like regret flickered in his eyes. Good. A lawyer will come tomorrow to finalize the contract. For now, rest. The guest room is upstairs, left side. Fresh clothes have already been arranged for you. I stood up, exhausted emotionally and physically. Callum? Yes? Thank you for helping. His jaw tightened. He didn't respond verbally, just nodded before walking toward his study. I found the guest room beautifully decorated with modern furniture, a comfortable bed and an attached bathroom. Nightwear in my size was already laid out on the bed. But as I lay down, loneliness crushed me. I was in a stranger's home, pregnant, scared. And that stranger was my baby's father, but he saw me only as a responsibility, a burden he'd accepted. I touched my belly, feeling the baby's gentle movements. We'll be okay, I whispered to my unborn child. Somehow, we'll be okay. 3 weeks passed, 3 weeks in this penthouse, 3 weeks with Callum Thorne. The contract had been signed, detailed, legal, everything clearly outlined. The DNA test results confirmed the baby was Callum's. Officially, I was now Callum's responsibility. Life was comfortable. Good food appeared daily courtesy of a private chef. Medical care continued with Dr. Reed's weekly checkups. But emptiness pervaded everything. Callum was rarely home. He left early for the office, meetings, business trips. He returned late at night and went straight to his room. We barely spoke. Separate breakfasts, dinners, when he was home, consisted of basic pleasantries. How are you feeling? Fine. Do you need anything? No. Robotic. Distant. I spent most time in my room reading, talking to the baby, staring out windows. Today I sat in the living room, feeling increasingly active baby movements. 7 months now. The kicks were stronger, more frequent. The doorbell rang. Mrs. Chen, the kind elderly maid, answered it. A woman entered. Designer dress worth thousands. Red bottom heels. Obviously Louboutin. Perfectly styled hair. Flawless makeup. Her aura radiated pure confidence and entitlement. She looked at me sitting on the sofa in comfortable clothes, obviously pregnant, and disgust filled her eyes. Undisguised. Clear disgust. Who are you? She demanded, as if this were her home. I stood awkwardly. I'm Jasper. And you are? Serena Blake. Callum's business partner. She paused deliberately, watching for my reaction. And his fiancé. My world stopped. Fiancé? Callum was engaged. Serena approached, her heels clicking against the floor. Her eyes went to my belly, then my face. So it's true, Callum took in a charity case. This isn't charity. I tried defending. No? She laughed coldly. You actually think Callum has feelings for you? You think you're special? She leaned closer, voice dropping to a threatening whisper. He's using you. He wants your baby and heir. Legacy. But you? You're replaceable. Just an omega who was in the right place at the right time. Nothing more. Every word was poison injecting directly into my heart. Callum and I have been together for years. We built a business empire together. We have family connections, social standing. You think some nobody omega can replace all that? Her look was contemptuous. This baby is just an inconvenience. Temporary. Once it's born, you'll leave. And Callum and I will resume our normal lives. I was speechless. Serena adjusted her designer purse and headed toward the door. At the threshold, she turned back. One piece of advice, Jasper. Protect yourself. Don't develop expectations. Because when reality hits, it's going to hurt. She left, leaving behind expensive perfume and a gaping wound in my heart. I sat there numb. Were her words true? Was Callum really just using me? When Callum came home unusually early that evening, I was in the library, pretending to read but processing nothing. He entered tie loose, looking tired. Jasper, he acknowledged. Serena was here, I said without looking up. My voice was flat. Callum froze completely. What did she say? I finally looked at him. That you're her fiancé. That this baby is just for an heir. That I'm replaceable. Painful silence. Callum removed his coat slowly, deliberately. Jasper, is it true? I asked directly. Are you going to marry her? Callum's jaw clenched, his eyes conflicted. It's arranged, for a business merger. Both families decided years ago, so it's true. I laughed bitterly, self-deprecatingly. Fine. I understand. This is an arrangement. A contract. I shouldn't have expected. Expected what? Callum suddenly snapped, stepping closer. I was shocked. This was the first time Callum had reacted this way. That I might mean something to you, I said quietly, standing up. That you might see me as more than just a responsibility. Callum remained silent, but his eyes held a storm. Then he ran a hand through his hair, a frustrated gesture. Jasper, I don't know what I'm feeling. My entire life was planned, organized, predictable. Then you arrived, and everything became chaotic. He looked at me, vulnerable, raw. This arrangement, it's not just an arrangement anymore. At least not for me. My heart stopped. What? But Callum rebuilt his walls almost immediately. His expression became neutral. Forget it. Rest. You have an appointment with Dr. Reed tomorrow. He walked to his room. I stood there alone, confused, hurt, but also hopeful. Maybe he was feeling something too. Maybe this wasn't just an arrangement. Maybe. The next morning when I woke, Callum had already left. The usual routine, but a handwritten note waited on the kitchen counter in Callum's neat script. Eat breakfast. Dr. Reed arrives at 11. I'll return by evening. Tell Mrs. Chen if you need anything. Simple. Professional. Yet he'd taken time to write it. I smiled slightly. Perhaps last night's conversation had shifted something between us. Dr. Reed's checkup was routine. Everything normal. The baby was healthy with a strong heartbeat. Jasper, Dr. Reed said seriously while packing his equipment. You must avoid stress. This is critical for both your health and the baby's. Any emotional turmoil directly affects the baby. I nodded, though I had no idea how to avoid stress when my heart was already in turmoil. After Dr. Reed left, I decided fresh air might help. I went to the building's terrace, accessible through a private staircase from the penthouse. The city view was breathtaking. Afternoon sun warmed my skin. The breeze felt gentle and refreshing. I stood near the railing and began talking to my belly, a habit that had developed over recent weeks. You know, your father is complicated. Very complicated. But I think deep down, he's good. He just doesn't know how to express it. Maybe he never learned. Really? I jumped, heart nearly stopping. Callum stood at the terrace door. He'd removed his suit jacket. Sleeves were rolled up. Tie hung loose. When did you arrive? I stammered. Just now. My meeting got cancelled, so I came home early. He approached me. Were you talking to the baby? Embarrassment heated my face. Yes. It seems foolish. No, Callum interrupted with genuine warmth in his tone. It doesn't. Actually, it's nice. He came to the railing beside me and looked out at the city. We stood side by side, close but not touching. Silence settled, but it felt comfortable this time. I gathered courage to ask the question that had haunted me since last night. About Serena. Are you really going to marry her? Callum's jaw tightened. His grip on the railing became white-knuckled. I don't know. Why not? He looked at me. Dark brown eyes, intense and vulnerable. Because since you arrived, everything's confusing. What was clear and decided before, now nothing is clear. My breath caught. Callum, I thought you were just a responsibility. He continued, turning to face me fully. Only a responsibility. An obligation. But now, he stepped closer. Now when you're home, this place feels different. Not empty, warm. When I'm at the office, I think about whether you're okay, whether you've eaten, whether the baby kicked. When you talk to the baby, he struggled with the words. You what? I whispered, barely breathing. I feel something I've never felt before. My heart raced. Tears filled my eyes. Callum, this is dangerous. You're engaged. You're not just anything, Callum said firmly, gently cupping my face. Jasper, you're important. I don't know when or how it happened, but you are, and I can't ignore this anymore. He touched his forehead to mine, intimate. Vulnerable. I'm ending things with Serena. My eyes widened in shock. What? But the business merger, forget the merger, Callum said with intensity. I can't stay in an arrangement when my heart is somewhere else. When I think about the future and only see you and the baby, was this real? Your heart is somewhere else? Callum smiled, the first genuine smile I'd ever seen from him. Soft. Warm. Yes. With you. Then he kissed me. Soft. Gentle. Tentative, as if asking permission. I responded, leaning into the kiss and into him. When we separated, I couldn't stop the tears, relief, joy, fear, all mixed together. I love you, I confessed, voice cracking. I don't know when it happened, but I do. Callum's eyes softened. He gently wiped away my tears. Me too. Maybe from the first day when I saw you on the floor protecting your belly. Maybe since then, but I couldn't accept it. I was afraid. Of what? Of feelings. Of losing control. Of hurting you. He hugged me carefully, protectively. My head rested against his chest where I could hear his heartbeat, fast, nervous. From now on, no more contracts. No more arrangements. Just us. Family. I nodded, crying silently against his chest. Finally something felt right. Finally, I'd come home. But happiness never lasts long. The next afternoon, Callum and I were in the living room. He was working on his laptop while I read a book. When sudden sharp pain shot through my lower abdomen, I gasped. The book fell from my hands. Jasper? Callum was immediately alert, setting aside his laptop. What happened? I'm okay. Then witness. My pants became soaked with liquid. Panic set in instantly. Callum, I think my water just broke. Callum's face went pale, but he immediately shifted into action mode. Okay. Stay calm. Deep breaths. We're going to the hospital. Right now. He carefully helped me up, practically carrying me, and got me to the elevator. Mrs. Chen had the pre-packed emergency bag ready. The car ride to the hospital was the fastest I'd ever experienced. Callum held my hand continuously while driving expertly despite obvious panic. Everything will be fine. He kept repeating. You're strong. The baby's strong. Everything will be fine. At the emergency room, Dr. Reed was already waiting. Callum had called ahead. How far apart are the contractions? Dr. Reed asked professionally, while checking my vitals. 5. No. 4 minutes. I managed between gasps of pain. You're not fully dilated yet, but labor is active. We need to get you to the delivery room. Prepare him. Nurses transferred me to a gurney. Callum held my hand, walking alongside. I'm here, he kept saying. I'm not going anywhere. In the delivery room, the next few hours blurred together. Pain, intense, overwhelming pain. Screaming. Callum's voice encouraging me, his hand gripping mine tightly. Push, Jasper. A little more. You're doing amazing. Almost there. I can see the head. Keep going, baby. Then, a cry. The baby's cry. Loud. Strong. Dr. Reed smiled genuinely and warmly. It's a boy. Healthy. Perfect Apgar scores. I was completely exhausted and drained. But when Dr. Reed cleaned the baby and placed him on my chest, everything was worth it. Small, pink, beautiful, perfect features. Callum stood beside me, tears flowing freely. The first time I'd seen him openly emotional. He's perfect, Callum whispered, voice thick with emotion. Just like you. I smiled despite the exhaustion. What should we name him? Callum gently touched the baby. Tiny fingers, soft hair. River. River Thorn. River. Perfect. Hello, River, I whispered. Your papa and daddy love you so much. River made a soft sound, as if responding. Callum kissed my forehead, gentle, loving. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you for him. For everything. Thank you, I replied. For us. For this family. In that hospital room, exhausted but happy, we were complete. 4 months had passed since River's birth, and every single day felt like a miracle I didn't deserve but desperately wanted to keep. Life had transformed completely. Callum had officially ended his engagement with Serena. There had been intense meetings, lawyers poring over contracts, tense negotiations about the business merger. But through it all, Callum remained absolutely firm in his decision. She'd been furious, naturally, threatening lawsuits and public scandals. But Callum hadn't wavered even once. He'd made it crystal clear to everyone. Investors, board members, society, that his priority was River and me. Only us. Nothing else mattered. We'd officially become a family in every legal sense. Callum had completed all the paperwork adoption documents for me, officially recognizing me as his legal partner and River's other parent. Identity documents were being processed for me too. Birth certificate, social security number, everything. For the first time in my entire life, I would legally exist in the system. I'd have an identity, a name, a place in the world. This particular morning started with the kind of beautiful chaos I'd grown to love. I was in the kitchen making breakfast pancakes. River's current favorite, when Callum walked in carrying our son. River was almost 4 months old now, becoming more alert, more responsive, more expressive every single day. His eyes would light up when he saw us. His tiny hands would reach out, and those baby sounds he made melted my heart every time. "Look, River, your daddy's making breakfast," Callum said in that special soft voice he reserved only for our baby, a tone I'd never heard him use in any business meeting or professional setting. "Smells absolutely delicious, doesn't it, little man?" River cooed in response, his tiny fist gripping Callum's expensive dress shirt, the one he'd need to change before heading to the office. I smiled at the domestic scene before me. So normal, so perfectly ordinary, so everything I'd never dared to dream about. "You look surprisingly natural as a papa," I teased while expertly flipping pancakes, having finally mastered the technique after several burnt attempts in previous weeks. Callum smirked with that confident expression I knew so well. "I excel at everything I do, obviously." I rolled my eyes dramatically, laughing at his typical arrogance that somehow seemed endearing rather than annoying. River suddenly giggled, that adorable baby laugh that had become his new favorite activity, especially when he sensed the playful energy between us. "See, he's definitely disagreeing with your assessment," I joked, pointing my spatula at them. Callum gave an exaggerated mock-offended expression, looking down at River with pretend hurt. "River, this is absolute betrayal. I spoil you constantly, buy you everything, and you're taking Daddy's side against me?" River giggled even more enthusiastically in response, as if he understood the joke perfectly. Callum carefully placed River in his custom-made high chair, the safest, most expensive model available on the market, then came over to where I stood at the stove. He wrapped his strong arms around my waist from then and kissed my neck softly, lingering there for a moment. "Good morning," he murmured against my skin, sending pleasant shivers down my spine. "Good morning," I replied with a genuine smile, leaning back into his embrace. These quiet morning moments were absolutely perfect. Simple, real. Everything I'd never imagined I'd have the privilege to experience. But life never stays simple permanently, does it? 2 weeks later, while River and I were enjoying a sunny afternoon at the park, Callum was at an important board meeting at the office. My phone suddenly rang. The screen showed an unknown number, which immediately made me hesitate. I almost didn't answer, but something compelled me to pick up. "Hello, Jasper?" That voice, that specific tone and cadence I hadn't heard in 7 long years. My heart literally stopped beating for a moment. A voice from my past I'd convinced myself I'd never hear again. "Warren?" Painful silence stretched between us. Then, "Yes, son, it's me, Warren, my biological father. The man who'd violently thrown me out of our house at 17 years old when he discovered I was an Omega instead of the Beta he'd expected and wanted. The man who'd screamed that no Omega would ever live under his roof. That I was an embarrassment to the family name, a disgrace that needed to be removed from his life. Completely. "How did you possibly get my number?" I asked, my voice cold and defensive. "I saw you on the news coverage. The entire court case with Callum Thorne. Your name was mentioned. Your face was shown in photographs. I recognized you immediately. Even after all these years." I remained completely silent, processing this unexpected intrusion. River played contentedly in his stroller nearby, completely oblivious to the emotional turmoil suddenly churning inside me. "I want to meet with you. We need to talk, Jasper. Please." "Talk?" I gave a bitter, hollow laugh that held no humor whatsoever. "After 7 entire years of complete silence? Now, suddenly you want to talk?" "Jasper, please just listen." "No," I said firmly, my voice strengthening with resolve. "You made your choice very clearly back then. I'm not your responsibility anymore, and you're certainly not mine. Goodbye, Warren. I ended the call abruptly, but my hands were shaking uncontrollably afterward. When I arrived back home, Callum was already there unusually early, which immediately told me something had prompted him to leave work. He took one look at my face and instantly knew something was seriously wrong. Jasper, what happened? He carefully took River from my trembling arms and studied my expression with genuine concern. You look extremely upset about something. I hesitated, then told him absolutely everything. Warren's unexpected call, our painful history, the rejection and abandonment. All of it. Callum's face hardened instantly, his protective alpha instincts activating completely. If you don't want to see him, you absolutely don't have to. I'll personally keep him away from you if that becomes necessary. I smiled gratefully at his unwavering support. Thank you for understanding. But over the following days, Warren's calls and text messages continued persistently. Apologies filled with regret. Desperate requests to meet face to face. Long explanations about his past actions. One particular message made me pause and reconsider everything. Jasper, I fully know what I did was completely wrong. Absolutely unforgivable. But please just give me one single chance to explain myself properly. I'm still your father regardless of everything. I genuinely want to be part of your life again. Part of my grandson's life. Please consider it. Grandson. He knew about River's existence. I showed the message to Callum, seeking his honest opinion. What do you think I should do? I asked, genuinely confused about the right choice. Callum was thoughtful and careful in his response. He gently placed River in his crib. Our son was sleeping peacefully, then came to sit beside me. This is entirely your decision, Jasper. Completely and absolutely. But if you want to cautiously give him a second chance, I'll fully support you. I'll be right there with you through everything. But, I prompted, sensing hesitation. But Callum said with complete seriousness, if he hurts you again in any way, I'll personally ensure he never comes anywhere near you again. I nodded, deeply grateful for his protective support. After 2 full days of careful consideration, weighing every possible outcome, I finally called Warren back. One meeting only. Public place. Callum comes with me. Non-negotiable. Warren agreed immediately without any arguments. We arranged to meet at a quiet cafe in neutral territory where I'd feel safe. Callum and I sat together on one side of the table. Warren sat alone on the other. Warren looked significantly older than I remembered. Much older than his actual age would suggest. Gray hair where there had been brown. Deep exhaustion in his eyes. Jasper, he said softly, his voice cracking slightly. Thank you for agreeing to meet me. I stayed completely silent, letting him speak first. Under the table, Callum held my hand firmly, silent support and strength. Warren continued carefully. I'll get straight to the point without wasting time. What I did to you, throwing you out, rejecting you completely, was absolutely wrong. Completely unforgivable. I'm only truly realizing the depth of my mistakes. Real tears filled his eyes, not the fake emotional manipulation I'd feared. I was genuinely scared back then. Terrified of society's harsh judgment. What people would say about our family, how it would negatively affect my business reputation and social standing. But in protecting those meaningless things, I was my only son, and I feel that crushing regret every single day without exception. My throat tightened painfully. I struggled to control the overwhelming emotions threatening to surface. You honestly think one simple apology magically fixes everything? I asked quietly but firmly. No, Warren said with complete honesty, shaking his head sadly. I know it's not remotely that easy. I'm not asking for immediate forgiveness right now. I just want the opportunity to slowly be part of your life again. If you'll possibly allow it. Slowly. Carefully. Earning back trust gradually. He looked at me with genuine pleading in his eyes. And my grandson, River. I desperately want to know him, to be his grandfather. Callum squeezed my hand gently under the table, silently reminding me that the final decision was entirely mine to make. I took a deep, steadying breath. One chance, I finally said after a long pause. Only one, slowly. You'll have to actively earn trust back. And if you ever hurt me again, I won't, Warren said quickly and emphatically. I absolutely promise. I'll prove myself through actions, not just words. He placed his business card on the table between us. Contact information, home address clearly printed. Call me whenever you feel ready. I'll wait however long it takes. The meeting ended awkwardly but perhaps with a tiny seed of hope planted. In the car afterward, Callum hugged me tightly. I'm incredibly proud of you, he said sincerely. Whatever you ultimately decided, I'm proud of your strength. I buried my face against his chest, letting the emotions finally flow. Maybe healing was genuinely possible. Maybe second chances were actually real. Maybe. The following weeks involved slowly, cautiously reconnecting with Warren. Carefully supervised coffee meetings at public cafes, brief park visits with River where Callum was always present and watchful, phone conversations that gradually became less strained and awkward. Warren seemed genuinely changed, transformed, deeply regretful in ways that felt authentic rather than performative. When he first held River, moving carefully and nervously as if handling the most precious, fragile thing in existence, tears filled his eyes and spilled down his weathered cheeks. He looks exactly like you did as a tiny baby, Warren whispered with wonder and pain mixed together. Same eyes, same expressions. Perhaps families truly could heal from deep wounds. Perhaps forgiveness was possible even after years of hurt. River's first birthday arrived. A significant milestone we'd been planning for weeks. We organized a small celebration party, close friends only. Dr. Reed, who'd been there from the beginning. Mrs. Chen, who'd become like family. And we'd invited Warren after much discussion. Callum welcomed him respectfully but cautiously, watching his interactions carefully for any signs of the man who'd hurt me years ago. River sat in his special high chair before his custom-made, completely baby-safe cake, absolutely mesmerized by the single flickering candle on top. "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you," everyone sang together, voices blending warmly. River suddenly plunged his entire hand directly into the soft cake and giggled with pure delight. Frosting spread everywhere, covering his face completely, stuck in his soft hair smeared across his new birthday outfit. Callum and I exchanged knowing looks, smiling broadly and feeling genuinely happy together. This perfect moment was everything. Later that evening, after all the guests had departed and River was sleeping soundly, Callum and I went to our favorite spot on the terrace. City lights sparkled magnificently below us. The night air was pleasantly cool. "You know," Callum said thoughtfully, his arm wrapped securely around my shoulders, "exactly 1 year ago, I genuinely believed my life was completely set. Perfectly planned, entirely predictable. Business strategies, the Serena engagement and merger. Everything decided and arranged." He looked directly at me with incredibly soft eyes. "Then you appeared, and absolutely everything changed. Completely transformed." I smiled warmly at his words. "Good change or bad change?" Callum pulled me tighter into his strong arms. "The absolute best change. The best thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life." He kissed me softly and lovingly, filled with unspoken promises. "I want to ask you something important," Callum said seriously, breaking our kiss. "What is it?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. A ring box. My breath stopped completely. "Jasper, I know we're already a family, legally and emotionally, but I want it completely official, publicly recognized. Married." He opened the box carefully, revealing an absolutely elegant ring, a simple platinum band with small, perfectly cut diamonds embedded tastefully. "Will you marry me?" Happy tears filled my eyes instantly, blurring my vision. "Callum, I promise you," he continued, his voice thick with genuine emotion, "I'll always protect you fiercely, love you completely, be the absolute best papa to River. With you I want to become a genuinely better person, every single day." "Yes," I interrupted, smiling brilliantly through my tears. "Yes, I'll absolutely marry you. Obviously yes." Callum lifted me completely off my feet and spun me around, both of us laughing freely, genuinely happy, feeling completely free. He carefully slipped the ring onto my finger. Perfect fit. Absolutely beautiful. He kissed me again, deeper and more passionate this time. In that perfect moment on the terrace under the glittering city lights, I knew with absolute certainty this was truly the beginning of my happily ever after, and I was completely ready for everything ahead. Wedding planning proved intense but wonderfully exciting. Callum insisted I have absolutely everything I wanted. Budget, completely unlimited. Guest list, entirely my choice. Venue, whatever made me happiest. We finally decided together an intimate wedding ceremony on a beautiful beach at sunset. Only genuinely close people invited. Warren humbly requested the honor of walking me down the aisle. A request that surprised me deeply. I consulted Callum about this significant decision. Entirely your decision, Callum said supportively. I'll completely support whatever you choose. I agreed after careful thoughts. Second chances and genuine healing were important values. The wedding day arrived with absolutely perfect weather. Crystal clear sky. Beautifully calm ocean. Everything felt magical. I wore a simple but elegant white suit, comfortable and stylish. Callum wore a perfectly tailored matching tuxedo that made him look incredibly handsome. As I walked slowly down the aisle, Warren holding my hand with visible tears streaming down his face, Callum watched me like I was his entire world, his everything. Our carefully selected guests included Dr. Reed, Mrs. Chen, several of Callum's most trusted colleagues and genuine friends, and Warren, and naturally River technically serving as our adorable best man. Sitting contentedly with Mrs. Chen in the cutest outfit imaginable, we exchanged our personally written vows. Jasper, Callum said, holding both my hands firmly. You taught me how to genuinely live, how to truly feel, how to completely love. I was fundamentally incomplete, professionally successful and powerful, but emotionally empty inside. Then you came into my life. You showed me that real life is so much more than endless meetings and business mergers. His voice cracked with raw emotion. I solemnly promise to remind you daily how incredibly important you are, how deeply loved you are. For you and River I would do absolutely anything. I cried openly and unashamedly. Tears flowed freely down my face. My turn to speak. Callum, when you lifted me from that floor, when you gave me genuine safety, I honestly thought it was temporary. Simple charity, but you gave me a real home, a true family, unconditional love. I gripped his hands even tighter. You showed me I genuinely deserve respect, care, and love. I'll always be with you, through every challenge, every joy, everything together. We exchanged our rings matching platinum bands that symbolized our eternal commitment. The officiant announced happily, "You may now kiss." Callum kissed me deeply and passionately, filled with years of accumulated love and unbreakable promises. Everyone applauded enthusiastically. River giggled adorably as Mrs. Chen gently made him wave his tiny hand. Absolutely perfect. Our honeymoon was in the stunning Maldives. 2 full weeks. Private luxury villa. Breathtaking ocean view. Complete privacy. Warren volunteered to care for River and surprisingly, Callum trusted him completely after thorough discussion. He's genuinely proving himself, Callum said confidently. And this is our special time together. The Maldives was pure paradise. Morning beach walks holding hands. Romantic evening dinners under stars. And complete blissful privacy. One particular night, we lay together beside the gently rolling ocean under brilliant stars. Soothing waves created peaceful sounds. Did you ever imagine life would be like this? I asked softly, my head resting comfortably on Callum's strong chest. Callum held me incredibly tight, his fingers running tenderly through my hair. Never, but I'm deeply grateful it happened, that you came into my life. Me too. Comfortable, peaceful silence. Jasper? Yes? Callum hesitated briefly, then spoke. Do you want another one? I looked at him genuinely confused. Another what? Callum gave a rare shy smile reserved only for me. A baby. Another baby. Maybe twins? My heart swelled with overwhelming warmth. You want that? Yes. River needs siblings, and I want us to have a genuinely big family. A home filled with laughter, chaos, love. I smiled widely and happily. Then let's try. Callum kissed me deeply and lovingly. That night, under countless stars with ocean sounds surrounding us, we began our new chapter together. 6 months later, back in our penthouse, I was pregnant again. This time with twins. The ultrasound confirmed it. 1 boy, 1 girl. Callum was absolutely over the moon with joy. He immediately planned to expand the nursery significantly. Everything doubled. Cribs, changing tables, toys, clothes. River was almost 2 years old now, walking confidently, talking in basic words and simple sentences, and genuinely excited about his incoming siblings. He'd gently pat my growing belly, saying baby repeatedly. Today we were at the park enjoying beautiful weather. River played enthusiastically on the swings, giggling constantly. Callum sat beside me on the bench, his hand resting protectively on my belly. 6 months pregnant now, noticeably large and round. These two are already troublemakers, he joked affectionately, feeling strong simultaneous kicks. Kicking together perfectly synchronized. I laughed genuinely. Obviously, they inherited your genetics. Callum gave an exaggerated mock-offended expression. Excuse me, I'm absolutely perfect, River shouted excitedly. Papa, push higher. Callum smiled warmly and went to him, carefully pushing the swing higher. I sat there peacefully watching them together. My family, my home. Warren was now a regular visitor. Weekly family dinners, occasionally babysitting River, slowly rebuilding our relationship. Our relationship was healing slowly and genuinely. Everything was absolutely perfect. The twins' birth was intense but surprisingly smooth overall. No emergency C-section needed this time. Natural delivery. Dr. Reed expertly handled everything with his full medical team. First came the boy. It's a healthy boy, Dr. Reed announced enthusiastically. Minutes later, the girl arrived. And a beautiful girl. Absolutely perfect. Callum couldn't hold back his tears. He cried openly from pure joy and overwhelming relief. The cleaned babies were carefully placed on my chest for essential skin-to-skin contact. So incredibly tiny. Beautiful. Perfect. Names? Dr. Reed asked, smiling warmly. Callum gently touched the boy with trembling fingers. Mac Thorne. Then tenderly touched the girl. And Lydia Thorne. Mac and Lydia. Absolutely perfect. Hello, babies, I whispered, completely exhausted but genuinely happy. Your papa and daddy love you so incredibly much, and your big brother River misses you already. Callum kissed my forehead gently and lovingly. Thank you, he whispered emotionally. Thank you for everything. For them. For us. For completing me. Thank you, I replied softly. For giving me a family. A home. For loving me. In that hospital room with the twins on my chest and Callum beside me, we were complete. Truly, completely, perfectly. 1 year later, life was beautifully chaotic in the best possible way. River was almost 3 years old, incredibly energetic, endlessly curious, fiercely protective of his younger siblings. Mac and Lydia were about to turn 1, crawling everywhere, babbling constantly, wanting to touch absolutely everything. The penthouse had completely transformed, toys scattered everywhere, every corner baby-proofed, filled with constant joyful laughter. This evening I was preparing dinner in the kitchen when Callum came home from the office early, as had become his usual routine. Family time was his absolute priority now. Papa, River ran to him excitedly. Callum lifted him effortlessly, kissing his cheek. Hey champion, what adventures did you have today? Went to the park and ate ice cream, River reported enthusiastically. Ice cream? You're a lucky boy. Mac and Lydia were on their colorful playmat, Mac unsuccessfully trying to stack blocks, Lydia hugging her favorite stuffed bunny tightly. Callum set River down and went to the twins, kissing both lovingly. My babies, missed you today. Then he came to me, wrapped his arms around my waist and kissed me properly. And I missed you most of all. Smooth talker, I teased affectionately. Dinner was a family affair. All of us together. River in his high chair, twins in their chairs creating wonderful mess. Callum and I managing the chaos. Perfect chaos. Later, after the children were asleep, River in his room, twins in their nursery, Callum and I finally reached the terrace. The city lights were absolutely beautiful. The breeze was pleasantly cool. Callum pulled me into his arms in a warm back embrace. Sometimes I genuinely feel like this is all a dream. Callum whispered. It's not, I assured him, holding his hands. It's real. Ours. Our family. You know, Callum continued thoughtfully, 2 years ago when I first saw you in that lounge, I didn't know my entire life was about to change completely. He turned me to face him directly. You completed me, Jasper. You made me human. Not just a businessman. I touched his face lovingly and gently. And you gave me a home. Identity. Purpose. He kissed me deeply and passionately, filled with years of accumulated love and promises. When we separated, he touched his forehead to mine. Thank you for everything. No thank you, I said softly. We did this together, we're a team. Suddenly the baby monitor crackled. Lydia was crying. We exchanged knowing looks and smiled. My turn, Callum said. No, mine. Together, Callum interrupted, taking my hand. Together, I agreed. We went to the nursery. Lydia was in her crib. Tears streaming, Callum carefully lifted her. Shh, baby. Papa's here, Daddy's here too. I started singing a gentle lullaby, the same one I sang for River. Lydia slowly calmed, resting her head on Callum's chest. Mac began stirring. I lifted him too, rocking gently. We stood there, me holding Mac, Callum holding Lydia, softly humming. River appeared from his room, rubbing sleepy eyes. Daddy, Papa, I can't sleep. Callum smiled. Come on, let's all sleep together. We went to the master bedroom with its king-size bed. Callum and I lay in the middle, River on one side, Mac and Lydia on the other, carefully positioned. Tell a story, River demanded. Callum began a fairy tale in a soft, soothing voice. Slowly, one by one, everyone fell asleep. River first, then the twins. I looked at Callum. His eyes were already on me. I love you, I mouthed silently. I love you too, he replied. Forever. In that moment, in bed with our 3 children, I knew this journey started with struggle, filled with pain, loaded with fear, had finally reached its perfect destination. Home, love, family, acceptance, forever. The next morning when I woke, everyone was still sleeping peacefully. Callum had River cuddled against him protectively. Mac and Lydia were on my side. I carefully got out of bed and went to the window. The sunrise was absolutely beautiful. A new day. A new beginning. The same love. I looked at my sleeping family. This was everything. Everything I'd ever wanted. Everything I deserved. And I had finally come home. Permanently. Warren had become a genuine part of our lives. A loving grandfather to all 3 children. A redeemed father to me. The wounds had healed slowly but completely. Dr. Reed remained our trusted friend and doctor. Mrs. Chen had become family. Our home was filled with laughter, chaos, love, and endless joy. Callum had transformed from a cold businessman into a warm, loving husband and father. I had transformed from an invisible, undocumented omega into a cherished partner, father, and whole person. River, Mac, and Lydia would grow up surrounded by unconditional love, never knowing the pain of rejection. This was our happy ending, our forever beginning, our home.